Hey guys, Dr. Epic here. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, this is a channel where I like to talk about things that I like or things that have left an impression on me, good or bad. I post them here because maybe some of you guys find it interesting as well, and maybe you have something to reply to me. Maybe I learn new stuff, maybe you learn new stuff, but mostly it's because it's something I want to declare my interest for. Today there is one question that I want to focus on, and it pertains to the, sadly, controversial video game, Mass Effect Andromeda. The question is, could Mass Effect Andromeda have been saved by DLC? Let me just start by saying this. I have much respect for the video game medium as a way to tell stories and offer valuable experiences. I don't see a fundamental difference in value between the entertainment medium of books, movies, podcasts, music, comics, YouTube videos and video games. They all offer entertainment, and all of them can make you think and question your own beliefs. That can make you improve yourself as a person, and thus the world at large, since the world is nothing more than a bunch of persons. Good stories, good entertainment has the potential to make the people and the world better. I don't really think that's a pretentious thing to say, if you just think about it a little bit. It's a little bit pretentious, but yeah. The Mass Effect series, in my opinion, is an example of such a case of good entertainment. The developers of Mass Effect, BioWare, delivered a well-received trilogy of, in my opinion, 3 masterpieces, and a 4th spin-off installment that was not received nearly as well as the previous 3. The 4th installment, Mass Effect Andromeda, has many elements that justify this reaction. I do not intend to rip them all up in this video, because there are a million videos that do this, and I don't feel the need to dive deep into these elements today. Suffice it to say, bugs, story, characters, and design philosophy did not satisfy many Mass Effect fans. I will be honest and say that I was also not satisfied with the end result of the game when I completed the game. I did finish it though I have seen many who could not even bear to do that. I have also, like many other people, replayed the game multiple times as well. When Mass Effect Andromeda launched, me and my brother bought it on launch day, and we started our each separate grinds. We sat in the same room, closed the curtains with a heavy blanket to sit in complete darkness, like a couple of rats. We each made different decisions in the game, but we progressed pretty similarly at the same speed through the story. I think I was slower to reach the end mission, but in Mass Effect I think the true winner is the one who spends the most time in that world. At least that's what I tell myself to comfort myself. Oh, and don't judge me for buying it on launch day, because I'm not a fan of pre-ordering, especially from EA, in which I was aware of, at the time even, that they were the great Saruman in the video game industry. But back to the question. Me and my brother finished the game roughly at the same time, having communicated fairly little of our impressions and such of the game until that moment. And when you grind a game like Mass Effect for the first time, with that many impressions, such as characters, story, design decisions, it's not easy to know how to feel when you've finished it. You have to let a sort of experience like that sink in before you truly know how you feel about it. And I remember when we finished the game, we both had that feeling like, okay, it's over. Well, okay. Was kind of hoping for more, like closure or at least some more intriguing setups for the next game. We did not feel closure or intriguing setups at the first playthrough. Closure wasn't really expected, because Andromeda was perceived by us as a setup for a new trilogy or a saga, so I suppose that's okay in and of itself. But then you gotta have some intriguing setups, right, if you can't have closure? Well, let's talk about how did the game end. Spoiler alert. The Hyperion Ark crash-landed on the artificial planet of Meridian. The scary alien warlord guy, Archon, was killed, and we have to presume his scary alien friends are coming for us next. This is cool enough, but as someone who didn't find the scary aliens Ket to be very intriguing, I might make a separate video on just them. I don't find that to be a very exciting setup. I will say very quickly, I found them to be an incredibly less interesting version of the Reapers. I think we can all agree that these are the main setups that the game shows you if you just do the main quests and a few side quests here and there. But like I said earlier, the true winner of the Mass Effect games is the one who has spent as much time as possible in the game. I'm not saying that to tell you how to play the game, we all play and enjoy differently. I'm just trying to set up a smooth segue into my next point. Now, if you played a bunch of side quests or just were very lucky, odds are you stumble across over the few quests and side storylines that I'm mentioning now. I will list them. You have the benefactor storyline, like who was the mysterious secret sponsor behind the Andromeda project? What was their motivation and intention with the project? Next you have the storyline of the Archon's motivations, like it's implied that he was rogue, and this makes us wonder how is the Ket society structured outside of Helios? And why do the big cats disapprove so much of his mission in the Helios cluster? And stuff like this. And the next thing is the Jardan. Who were they? They seem to have created the Scourge and the Vault Worlds. Why? Most importantly, who was this opposition that they were fighting? And next you have the Quarian Arc. What happened to it? Why were they in trouble? I know this was touched upon in some outside of the game media, I will explore that later. And you have, of course, the service members you could find in Kadara, I believe. Like, are there more of them? What will they do? Why are they here? All these things. These are all unresolved questions in-game. The Quarian Arc question was answered in a book outside the game, I believe. As someone who watched another franchise of masterpieces, Halo, become more of a book series than a game series, this hurt my soul. That's an exaggerated joke, of course, but I think people will agree with me that Halo 4 was really weird and jarring to jump right into, story-wise, without having read any books, if your last game was Halo Reach or Halo 3. Of course, a book tying up loose ends is better than no resolution at all. I am, however, a firm believer that a game should tell all of its story, at least important questions like these, in the game. In the same way I believe if you read a book, say Lord of the Rings, you shouldn't have to watch a movie or Rings of Power to learn more about what happens to the story and characters in the book. And I can talk about Halo specifically another time. As for Rings of Power, I don't think I'm powerful enough, I'll be honest. But for this video, I will also add that I'm a fan of games that don't spell out everything and let the world itself do the storytelling. Another masterpiece of this storytelling method is, of course, the Half-Life series, and the original Mass Effect trilogy. Mass Effect Andromeda too tells its story through the world itself, like that whale thing beneath the ice on Vold, or the dune worm on Eladon. Or the crashed ship on the same planet. And the crashed ship on Havarl. I love these moments when I found them. I felt like a true explorer in a foreign galaxy. Kudos to whoever made that happen in the game. And these are intriguing mysteries, much more so than the Ket conflict, I believe. So the main conflict was sadly, in my opinion, not very intriguing, like I said. This left me unsatisfied when the game was beat. The obvious solution to this from the developer side is to just make a more interesting main story with more intriguing setups. BioWare has done it before. Once Mass Effect 1 ended, you were excited because you wanted to know what these likable characters would do in the future, and what these unknowable Reapers would do, and the inhuman Geth, what would happen to the Rachni and the other alien societies. But since Mass Effect Andromeda is a game that is now finished, and this is our end product in 2017, what would your next logical step be? Surely you wouldn't just leave it like this and move on?
Hop out! Jump out! Can't go there, sir! Follow me! Get out! Let's move.
Understandable as it is to just bail ship and reallocate resources to another healthier project, I still believe to this day that one good high quality DLC could have redeemed Mass Effect Andromeda. That would have gone a long way in restoring trust with the fans. If the creators are just going to bail on us, like the Jardan bailed on Helios or the Leviathans on the Milky Way, what faith can we have in the developers to maintain their creations? I don't want to invest time and love in characters, societies and stories if they could just vanish before their stories are told to their end. Time will tell, with the new Mass Effect game coming out in the not too super distant future, I hope, if it was the right decision to seemingly scrap Andromeda. I still believe we could have both made a new Mass Effect game and at the same time give Andromeda a worthy send-off in the shape of a redemption DLC. I mentioned earlier several intriguing unresolved mysteries and setups they could have made DLC of. These mysteries were likely setting up the sequel, but once the sequel was made unlikely, I think they should have salvaged at least some exploration of these mysteries in DLC form. I think the most obvious setup for DLC was the Quarian arc storyline. I was thinking the following: OMG, what if it's a lone reaper following the ark to destroy it, to prevent people escaping from the Milky Way? Or some other deep space beast or faction. Turned out it was just some onboard plague, which I'm sure was a good story. I haven't heard anyone say that the book was bad. And hey, at least the book had closure. And given that they were probably already ordered to pack their things in the development studios and leave, this is, like I said, a better alternative than no follow-up or closure. I do still think it was a missed opportunity. This is likely hardly a controversial opinion. I just wanted to make this video to say that Mass Effect Andromeda was never beyond redemption. As it launched, it could never be a masterpiece. There are too many faults with the characters and story design, among other things, in my opinion, for that to be achievable. However, one good long DLC could have made it into a better game, make these intriguing mysteries a more important part of the game, introduce some well-written new squad mates perhaps. Mass Effect 2 pulled it off, and Mass Effect 3 in regards to Javik. Javik's Day 1 DLC is definitely a topic for another video. That thing was so good, but delivered to us in such a scummy way from, I presume, EA, the big cats upstairs. I do think Mass Effect Andromeda is a good game. It's way below the standards of the original trilogy in many of the most important parts, sadly. There are though still good things that could have been fleshed out and properly utilized in a DLC. Imagine a Lair of the Shadow Broker DLC for Mass Effect Andromeda, but even bigger, or a DLC set after the final mission. I'm sure the developer team had many ideas, but the axe came from upstairs, it seems. From what I gather, having too many ideas might have been the biggest problem in the development of Andromeda, in regards to wanting to expand the exploration vibes of Mass Effect 1 and make Andromeda into a No Man's Sky-ish game. It's a cool idea, but I don't think people buy Mass Effect for that, sadly. It's a reason why many people say their least favorite parts of Mass Effect was the Mako exploring and the planet scanning in Mass Effect 2.
Probing Uranus.
I liked them, they made me feel at peace, but yeah, I totally get it. The driving in Andromeda feels, when you've done it enough, it feels like just an overproduced loading screen at times, like the beloved elevator in Mass Effect 1. I hear for the next game that BioWare is deciding to go back to the Unreal Engine and not using Frostbite anymore. I'm very happy to hear that, mostly because I do not understand for the life of me why they tried Frostbite so hard in Andromeda in the first place. This does, however, make me sad as well, because, and I'm no game dev, if anyone here is, please enlighten me, but I don't think porting decisions and such from Andromeda's Frostbite engine over to Unreal Engine game will be possible or feasible. If there are any game devs or people with insights, again, please enlighten me in the comments. I think it would be such a shame if the decisions in Andromeda had zero effect on the next Mass Effect game. That would be the absolute killing blow to replayability of Andromeda. No DLC for Andromeda made me drop playthroughs not long after I played Andromeda the first couple of times. I did a couple of meme playthroughs with the Joker rider,
What's the word on the street?
but nothing could grip me enough. The decision felt impactless, In the beginning, I said, fair, they're setting up the domino pieces for Andromeda 2, compared to the OG games. The characters were too boring. They did grow more and more boring through repeated playthroughs, for me as well. And the main mysteries were never touched upon enough. And when they started axing everyone working on Andromeda, I lost even more faith that this game would have an impact. A decision-based story game like Mass Effect needs impact. The main Andromeda game did not have it. A DLC could have had it. Many DLCs could have injected even more impact. I realized this would have been a lot of work, and I'm sure it was a really tough call for the people who had passion and faith in the game to axe it and move on to other things. One could say the only tough decisions in Mass Effect Andromeda happened outside the game. In the dev studios, executive studios, and in the gamers' chairs, deciding whether or not to give up hope in the game. I stayed hopeful and loyal. Sadly, the sum of all parties decided not to stay hopeful and loyal in return. In conclusion, I think a good DLC, not more than one, though more would be preferable, could have saved and redeemed Andromeda. Could have given us more impactful decisions, better stories, better setups, better characters, better memories. I fear now that we will never return, given the in-universe practical limitations of traveling between the two galaxies. I am very excited to see how they will treat the Andromeda Galaxy in the next Mass Effect game. Call me stupid or naive, but this, the next Mass Effect game, I have hope for. I will wait, and I pray the devs and execs will take one lesson from Andromeda at least. Don't abandon ship when faced with overwhelming odds. Don't back down when faced with Lovecraftian space monsters. Stay hopeful and loyal. Hope and loyalty is contagious. If you have hope and loyalty to the fans of the series, they will give hope and loyalty back. What do you guys think? Could a DLC have saved Andromeda, or was it completely beyond redemption? Do you think it was a wasted opportunity from BioWare and EA? Let me know, preferably down in the comments where I can see your opinions. As for now, I'll be signing out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Dr. Epic, signing off.
Is this what you do? It hurts a lot.
So determined.